Finding a Path Amidst Chaos. Questions raised by Thomas Pynchon's The Crying of Lot 49. We face countless questions while living our lives. Who am I? What is truth? How does the world operate? Sometimes the questions themselves feel burdensome, even before seeking their answers. Especially today, in an age flooded with information, it is increasingly difficult to distinguish what is real from what is fake. Today, I want to introduce you to a book that might initially feel unfamiliar and challenging, a book by Thomas Pynchon titled The Crying of Lot 49. This novel does more than offer an intriguing story. It poses valuable questions that help us understand the world and reflect on our own lives. Most people associate the terms knowledge or cultivation with complex theories or historical facts. However, I believe true knowledge and cultivation go beyond merely simplifying or memorizing complicated concepts. Rather, they involve understanding the world's intricacies and finding personal meaning within them. The Crying of Lot 49 invites us precisely into this process. It promises a reading experience unlike any you've encountered before, one that might initially seem confusing or awkward but will ultimately plant seeds of fresh thought within you amidst that chaos. 1. The Crying of Lot 49. The beginning of chaos. This novel is set in 1960s California and follows a seemingly ordinary housewife named Oedipa Maas. She is named the executor of the will of her former lover, the wealthy business magnate Pierce Inverarity. What initially appears to be a straightforward task draws Oedipa into an unimaginably vast mystery. While sorting through Inverarity's estate, she discovers traces of a secretive organization known as Trastero. Trastero is depicted as a covert postal network that historically competed with, or was persecuted by, the European postal giant Thurn and Taxis. However, the Trastero that Oedipa uncovers is not just a historical legend, but something embedded in modern American society, manifesting in cryptic messages, symbols, and networks. In particular, the symbol of a muted post horn repeatedly appears in unexpected places, trash cans, bathroom walls, and bar signs, drawing Oedipa deeper into a web of suspicion. Oedipa investigates this mystery by meeting various characters and researching countless documents. She hypothesizes that Trastero is not merely a remnant of the past, but a subterranean network connecting the marginalized, the oppressed, and those excluded from mainstream society. These individuals seem to resist the dominant flow of information and communicate through their own methods. Oedipa constantly questions whether what she is experiencing is a real, vast conspiracy or just a delusion caused by stress or some elaborate prank. The novel concludes with Oedipa waiting for the mysterious Lot 49 auction item to be sold, the key to unlocking the Trastero mystery, but Pynchon never reveals the answer to his readers. Thus, The Crying of Lot 49 leaves its readers in a maze from beginning to end. The story is fragmented, the characters eccentric, and the events entwined less by logic than by chance and suspicion. Yet, it is precisely this confusion that holds the book's greatest charm and offers the starting point for valuable insights. 2. Core insights from the novel. What is truth? Thomas Pynchon uses this brief but dense novel to raise fundamental questions about modern society and human existence. These questions are not limited to 1960s America. They carry powerful messages for all of us living in the 21st century. The relativity of truth and the chaos of information. The most crucial question is, what is truth? Oedipa desperately seeks to prove Trastero's existence, but all the information she gathers is ambiguous, contradictory, and occasionally feels fabricated. Every clue reflects off one another like a giant mirror maze, obscuring the truth. Today, we live in a vast ocean of information on the internet. While a single click grants access to countless facts and opinions, it also floods us with fake news, conspiracy theories, and biased information. Determining which information is trustworthy and understanding who produces and distributes it with what intentions is anything but easy. Decades ago, Pynchon anticipated the chaos of information through his novel. The Crying of Lot 49 warns us against passively accepting information and reminds us of the importance of critical thinking, questioning all information from multiple perspectives. It shows us the necessity of keeping an open mind toward various interpretations and possibilities rather than clinging to the belief that one definitive truth exists. B. The psychology of paranoia and conspiracy theories. As the story progresses, Oedipa becomes increasingly plagued by paranoia. She is unable to distinguish whether the patterns she uncovers are fragments of a grand conspiracy or mere coincidences or hallucinations of her own making. This paranoiac state is not unfamiliar to anyone living in modern society. In an unstable world filled with unpredictable events, people naturally develop a tendency to believe in unseen forces or hidden powers behind the scenes. This novel delicately portrays how conspiracy theories form and the psychological effects they have on individuals. Through it, we learn that conspiracy theories are not always baseless stories but can reflect a human desire to simplify complexity and find personal meaning in the world. However, the book also warns us not to become too immersed in these theories, as doing so can distance us from reality and trap us in self-constructed worlds. The key lies in maintaining a balanced attitude, remaining reasonable and critical while avoiding hasty judgments that connect everything to a conspiracy. Seed communication, disconnection, and the desire for connection. Trastero appears as a secret postal system. While mail symbolizes communication, Trastero operates differently from mainstream society, using an encrypted and covert method to convey messages. This reflects the deep yearning of those on the margins of society, unable to express themselves, to connect with one another in their own way. At the same time, characters in the novel appear isolated and disconnected. Oedipa feels loneliness due to the communication barriers she experiences with those around her. This is a paradox of modern society. While we now have the technology to easily connect with people around the world, we often struggle to form meaningful relationships and achieve genuine communication. Through the symbol of Trastero, Pynchon explores how humans inherently desire connection, yet how that connection is often fragile and incomplete. Entropy and the aesthetics of chaos. One of the recurring concepts in Pynchon's work is entropy. In physics, entropy represents disorder or chaos. The scientific concept that the universe moves from order to disorder, and that usable energy diminishes, is deeply embedded in the fictional universe of this novel. Oedipa's world seems to slip further into meaninglessness, fragmentation, and unpredictable chaos. Yet, within this chaos, Pynchon also finds new possibilities and aesthetic value. Trastero, though chaotic and disordered, may conceal resistance against mainstream society and the potential for a new order. This novel reminds us that not everything in life is constructed in perfect order and logic. Sometimes, it is precisely within chaos and uncertainty that new perspectives and creative energy emerge. It calls upon us to embrace ambiguity and uncertainty rather than striving for absolute clarity. 3. Why should you read The Crying of Lot 49? A recommendation for those without knowledge or cultivation, this book is certainly not easy. The plot is perplexing, the language complex, and even after finishing it, you might not find clear answers. However, it is precisely in this difficulty that the novel's true value lies. This is why I recommend it especially to those without a background in knowledge or cultivation. A. The fundamental joy of reading. The process of questioning and exploration. Many people view reading as an act of acquiring information or finding answers. However, The Crying of Lot 49 reveals the fundamental joy of reading lies in the process of questioning and exploring. This book does not provide answers, it instead raises more questions. By trying to answer questions like, is Oedipa's experience real? Or does Trastero really exist? And what meaning could it hold if it does? Your thinking will become deeper and broader. If you come across a page that you don't understand, take a moment to stop and think. Discuss it with others. Or read it again. These steps themselves are the most important training for expanding your knowledge and cultivation. Don't give in to frustration when things don't make sense, it is perfectly normal. What matters is the courage not to give up, to dive into that mystery, and to try to find your own answers. B. Cultivating critical thinking and a new perspective on the world. The Crying of Lot 49 encourages us to develop a critical view of the world. It compels us to question the information provided by the media, socially accepted truths, and the facts proclaimed by those in power. Developing the habit of asking, like Oedipus, could there be more to this? Or is there another story? Is one of the most essential intellectual abilities in modern society. Through this book, we learn that what appears to be the whole truth is not always complete, and that even a single phenomenon can have multiple interpretations. This insight will help us understand the world more deeply and view it with an open mind, free from being confined by specific information. C. Learning to coexist with ambiguity and uncertainty. We naturally prefer clarity and certainty, but the real world is not like that. Life is filled with ambiguity and uncertainty. This novel confronts us directly with these uncertainties. While the story lacks a clear ending and the questions have no answers, this lack of resolution might feel uncomfortable at times. However, becoming accustomed to such discomfort can become a process of gaining wisdom in life. Rather than striving to find perfect answers for everything, it is important to learn to accept ambiguity and search for your own meaning within it. Through this book, you will receive the message that not every problem in life needs a clear solution and will develop inner strength that allows you to maintain your own center and move forward even within uncertainty. D. Expanding imagination and discovering new perspectives. Pynchon's literature stimulates imagination and shakes up our thinking. The eccentric characters, unrealistic events, and intricate plot all break the frameworks through which we normally perceive the world, offering new perspectives. Reading this book will lead you to ask questions such as, what if the world is not as I think it is? Or what if the truth I believe is someone else's manipulation? These questions infinitely expand your imagination and open up diverse possibilities in life. What truly constitutes real knowledge or cultivation? I believe it extends beyond merely possessing lots of information. It is the ability to understand the world's complexity, to ask questions of yourself, and to seek your own meaning even in ambiguity. The Crying of Lot 49 provides the courage and insight needed to begin that journey. Conclusion. Crossing the threshold of knowledge. The Crying of Lot 49 will certainly not offer a comfortable reading experience. You might feel confused and frustrated throughout reading it. However, within that confusion and frustration lies the hidden door to genuine knowledge and cultivation. The world is not constructed solely around one answer. It is complex, ambiguous, and filled with things that are hard to understand. This book captures the essence of that world and encourages our efforts to understand its complexity. Through this book, you will learn how to question the nature of the world, analyze information critically, and form your own perspective. Just as Oedipus plunges into the mystery to search for answers, the very process of doing so will help you grow. So, summon your courage and open The Crying of Lot 49. Within its pages, you will embark on a special journey that will help you understand the world more deeply and reflect on your own life. This journey will undoubtedly enrich and give meaning to your life.